Another NBA DFS slate on tap, and this one's a long one, but we're going to dig in here. An impossible amount of questionable players, but some value. Day'Ron Sharpe, the man, the thumbnail. You can see how shocked I am and how cool he is. Honestly, I feel you guys are going to make some really inappropriate jokes about my face on that thumbnail. Either way, we're going to do what we always do here. We're going to compare my projections, one of the industry leaders out there in Stokastic, see what they think about the ownership as well. We're going to hop to the world of Unabated, check out what the best bets are, run some DFS sims, and by the end of this video, you'll know the must plays for today's February 26th NBA slate. Let's get to it. Your Q tag tweet for the day: Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis yesterday killed me very upsettingly. 33% of my lineups had Porzingis, and if I knew he wasn't going to play, of course, got downgraded right after lock, I would have played Derek White a lot more. And unfortunately, that was not how that worked. Derek White had a great day, but here we are. Porzingis, though, questionable today with Jaylen Brown. Tyrese Halliburton, run him up for the DraftKings network today. If he's out, a little more minutes going for TJ McConnell, theoretically, a little more opportunity going Andrew Nembhard's way. Obviously, more usage go around, more assist upside for Pascal Siakam, for Miles Turner as well. So Halliburton, one that does matter today on the slate. Karl-Anthony Towns, questionable. Of course, one of my favorite players in every slate. He's a Q tag today. Bam Adebayo, Q tag. That matters as well. Kel'el Ware would look a lot better. Kyle Anderson would be a lot more safe as well to go to today. Because basically, Kyle Anderson closed last game over Kel'el Ware as a result, or Khalil Ware, I think it's supposed to say his name. Khalil Ware didn't close last game because Kyle Anderson took minutes away. If Adebayo were out, that would open up minutes for Ware, which would then open up minutes for Kyle Anderson to kind of safely get there as value. So that one matters quite a bit. Scotty Barnes, Jakob Poeltl, Ayo Dosunmu, Sam Hauser, Dennis Schroeder, now in the Pistons, of course, and the aforementioned TJ McConnell. He is also a Q tag. If he were also out with Halliburton, then I think Nembhard would actually look like a pretty compelling play. Let's see what we got here on the overall projections. Appreciate all the chats. We got a good evening here. I feel like it's early for the evening, unless you're ahead of East Coast time. Caption the Spags thumbnail day. There you go. Day'Ron stabbed a guy with a trident. Spags Pikachu face. I would love to be as successful, as adorable as Pikachu, any of the above. I would appreciate all you guys. We got our alohas. Let's go. Yeah, glad to have all you guys here. Of course, make sure to hit that like button coming in. And of course, subscribe if you're new around here. New streams every Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. And your support does go a long way for me here, as YouTube is fighting me hand and fist, even though my click-through rate's up, my thumbnails, look how exciting they are. And yet, fucking, I'm just not getting as many impressions. It's so stupid how that happens. So please hit the like button, subscribe, do all that stuff. It goes a long way. And I got, Mike here. Shout out, I got Mike, one of the producers over at Stokastic. Great to see him as well. All right, so your top projected guys for the day. I have James Harden highly again. James Harden the other day, I had him highly as well. He failed miserably in that spot. It was a bit of a downer for me because I had a ton of ownership going to him. That said, for James Harden, he does gain enough of the boost because of Norman Powell being out. Some of that can certainly flow more Kawhi's way with him rounding up to full health. Kawhi's rates without Norman Powell gets up to about a 30% usage rate. James Harden without Powell as well gets really big increases, gets up to 34% usage, 41% assist rate. His average 1.4 fantasy points per minute without Powell. And you also have on top of that a match today for the Clippers going against Chicago. So hard for me to not get to Harden a good amount here. We got 15% here for James Harden for the field. I'm getting him at 38. You love these slash plays. That's actually the murder channel that does DFS plays. Here's splash plays, though. Yes, at the end of the video, you'll also get my splash plays for the day. Not my slash plays, which come from the Killer and Scream. I think it's more of a slash play. Sorry. It's just that's where my brain went. Karl-Anthony Towns, getting him at 10% here. As we talked about, he is a Q tag, still one of my top projected guys, but not as necessary to get to him, as easy to get to him. Your cash game lineups today are going to include on DraftKings going to have for themselves a lot of Zach Collins, a lot of the aforementioned Sharpe. So as a result, you're not going to get as much Towns today on a slate, but for a tournament, if you are going to go to Karl-Anthony Towns, that's a way to come over the top of those guys where, Sharpe, even if he goes nuts, he's going to give you maybe 40 in a best case scenario, more likely high 20s to 30s. Zach Collins, I think, can get you to 30, but it's hard for me to even see him getting to 40. Karl-Anthony Towns could theoretically give you 50. Obviously, that's the projection. I could give you 60, maybe on an outside case, give you 70. That's what you're hoping for in tournaments a little bit. So then getting above the field on Towns feels okay, but I don't know that you want to commit fully to him. Like, you go to Sabonis, get the same effect. But sort of the way to think about DFS a little bit more is people are going to play the cheap centers. So but you come over the top with a higher dollar center. And there's one we're going to talk about in a moment who I'll be doing that a lot with. Domantas Sabonis, I think a lesser play than Cat, but does gain a little bit from the current configuration of the Kings with having Zach LaVine in. So For Domantas Sabonis, I think he's an okay play. Getting him at 7%, Fields at a rounded up 8. So I think that's not that big of a stand. I'm fine with him. Jason Tatum, 5% for me, rounded up 5% for the field. If you do get Jaylen Brown out, Tatum's going to look a lot better. As if you got Porzingis out as well, would make it even better. Tatum at this point, not looking like a fantastic play, but he is a guy with the various Q tags, could move up a lot here in the overall projections as we go. Cade Cunningham, only 1% for me, slightly higher than the Fields 1%. Şengün is the big stand here. So Şengün gains a whole lot on paper from having some of the guys out today. No Fred VanVleet, no Tari Eason here, missing the usual back-to-back. And it is a back-to-back for Houston. Tough game versus Milwaukee. Yesterday saw some injections. Amin Thompson in particular in that spot. So maybe a little bit of a reason to have concern for Şengün. And frankly, the fact Şengün also had a good DFS day, maybe he's due for a down one. But he has averaged for himself a 1.35 fantasy points per minute, 28% usage, 19% rebound rate, really good 23% assist rate as well. Shot at giving you a triple-double. Şengün 8,500 as well. The projection for Stokastic is 47.4. I'm at 47.9. So I'm getting him 2x the field, getting him in 31%. My top 150 lineups, Fields at 15.5%. Şengün, to me, I think is worth at the very least at 15.5%. But a lot of people are going to be, as I mentioned, going to be playing Sharp, going to be playing Collins. So if Şengün hangs 50 and those guys put up 30, you're gaining a lot here and a lot of the, where the field's going to be putting ownership-wise today. Trae Young, I am low on Trae Young per usual here, 19% for the field. I'm getting him in 7% of my top 150. For Trae Young, the big thing really is that Dyson Daniels gains a lot more from not having DeAndre Hunter out there, not having Bogdanović, Jalen Johnson, the Hawks who are no longer with us at this point. Really, the rates really help out Dyson Daniels. I actually have Daniels pretty highly projected here. Let's see if I can pull him up on screen. I have him getting a 40.1 projection, Stokastic at 35.3. The other day for Dyson Daniels, as I talked about on the show, I liked him a lot. He ended up having a good day. I think that was also against Miami. So for Dyson Daniels here, he is my pro stand. I think that he does hurt Trae Young a little bit, but these guys are kind of similarly owned. So if you wanted to get just with the field on Dyson Daniels and not go 3x the field like I am right now, that'd be totally fine. But Trae Young, I think to me, you don't need to go above this 19% for Trae Young, because I do think some of the other Hawks benefit a little bit more. And Josh Giddey here, there's a world where you could really juke this projection a little bit more. Basically, the sample size I took for him today was one where I kept Jalen Smith in lineups. If you take Jalen Smith off, Josh Giddey averages like 1.7 fantasy points per minute. I've kept him in set at rates that have him at 1.4 fantasy points per minute for the Bulls. Obviously, today, no Vucevic, also no Zach LaVine on the team anymore. So two things that have historically helped out Giddey a lot. DeSutin is questionable. If he were out, I think Giddey would take another jump up here and look much better. But right now for Giddey, 3x the field for me. He was a big stand for me the other day when he went nuts, put up 70 fantasy points. So I will highlight him here. Let's sort by value now. Let's go through that view. Of course, going to see our guy Day'Ron Sharpe in a moment, along with some other folks. Value here. C to A. Any worries about Sharpe in the matchup? Just too few players for Brooklyn to care. Look, it's playing the Thunder. That's never a good thing. Being almost an 18-point dog at home, also never a good thing. But Sharpe has always been a good producer. Oddly enough, yesterday he had some extra run. I don't even know why, if it was Claxton got in foul trouble or what. Basically had some extra run for them the last time they played, and it was basically a thing where he didn't actually produce that well. I think he played high 20s minutes last game, versus Washington as well. So he played in this game. Day'Ron Sharpe did. No, he only got to 17. I thought it got higher. All right, so 17 minutes. Yeah, look, he's played upwards of high 20s in other spots. So I would expect him to be able to get there. If he doesn't get there, there isn't really a backup center. They'll play Watford at center. And I think Watford's an okay play as well. But, hard to imagine Sharpe, I think you got to take that shot. Again, he's one of those guys to me. If I had to put him in every lineup or none, I probably would go more every lineup than not. And I think today as well, I would trust him a little bit more than I would Zach Collins. But, that's it for right now. And Day'Ron Sharpe, too, worth noting, the projection for Stokastic is only 23 minutes, so really they're not projecting the upper band that much. And my projections do account as well for matchup and all that. If, let's say, the Thunder really limited rebounds, something like that, I would have that reflected in how the data kind of works out. And Sharpe is, still 29 fantasy points in 23 minutes, so I expect the best of him today. And if, God forbid, if he plays 30 minutes somehow, or pretty much near that, he would be, have a shot at giving you 45. So Kyle Anderson is top value right now. Your big risk for Kyle Anderson, as I mentioned, Khalil Ware is basically the guy that would take minutes away from him. Last game, Miami's closing group included Alec Burks, And also included Burks and Kyle Anderson, of course. So included those two guys along with Hero, Bam, and whoever the third man is Wiggins, duh. So that was the closing five. Basically, though, they took minutes away from Davion Mitchell. I guess theoretically Duncan Robinson as well, guard, but really Khalil Ware. So if Kyle Anderson closes, you're going to want to play him. If he doesn't close, he's probably not going to hit that projection. And you might want Khalil Ware because that might mean that Khalil Ware stayed on the floor. As I mentioned earlier, if Bam Adebayo's out, that's going to open up minutes for Khalil Ware to take over at center. What Kyle Anderson's doing right now is kind of taking over fully the Nikola Jovic role, which they would have him closing a good amount. He's playing, like 30 minutes in games. He was also starting in some games too. Kyle Anderson not starting. But basically that's sort of the risk is that somebody else can close over him. Like theoretically they could even put Davion Mitchell over him and go Mitchell and Burks, something like that. Rozier was out of the rotation entirely last game. I don't know. Maybe he can come in and somehow close. It seems unlikely. But point being, that's your risk point for Kyle Anderson. So if you don't play Anderson, I would give a boost to Khalil Ware. But I think Anderson looks like a good play. His rates have been good since going to Miami. I've been 64% of my top 150 lineups right now. Fields at 25%. And oh no, slow-mo day. Look, you know the risk now. And you know where the minutes should go if he doesn't play his full allotment of minutes. So I try to think about it like that, where Kyle Anderson, if he closes, good play. If he doesn't close, give a boost to Khalil Ware. Maybe try to manually grab some lineups with Khalil Ware in it. That's what I would try to do to get leverage against that ownership. Darren Sharp, I think we talked about enough here, 51% for the field. I'm at 61. Tosan Woman, so another guy here, 3K minimum salary, has to play some decent minutes. I think there's a possibility. Where's the injury report for the Nets? I think there's one more Q-tag guy for Brooklyn that could open up more. Oh, yeah. I know Cam Johnson's available, so never mind. If Cam Johnson were out, that would open up more minutes for Ebwoman. Instead, I think that he's going to be locked into playing low 20s no matter what. He's 3K, though. He does produce at an okay rate so far this year. Ebwoman is producing at such a unnecessary amount of time to talk about a player that nobody wants to play. But he is 3K minimum. He's producing at a 0.8 fantasy point per minute pace. I'd have him at 0.87 today. So Ebwoman, your value play at 3K to go to that. I don't think it's worth a lot of ownership, but I'm getting 11% of my top 150. The field's at 4. Tristan Vukovic, basically Stokastic did an update for Alex Sarr being out before the show, so I couldn't get a good read on where I'd get him. He was in really big foul trouble last game for Washington, and as a result, Rashawn Holmes basically was guaranteed closing run, and I think it was Keyshawn George ended up getting a few more minutes. They had a few more to go around, basically, because I think Vukovic actually fouled out in that game, but he was in foul trouble in the first half as well, picked up 3 fouls. So basically, if he plays 18 minutes, I would have him putting up 24 fantasy points, which is not the ceiling you want to get. But if he's your pay down option and you have a bunch of guys, good guys around him, I think it works. But Vukovic, to me, I think is going to be worth some exposure today. He just wasn't in the sim set of lineups because they had Alex Sarr in, and obviously that means Vukovic wouldn't be expected to get minutes. Dyson Daniels, not really a value, but at 6,700, he looks pretty good to me. One of those plays, though, I mean, he's going to be chalkier than the Miles Bridges was yesterday, where my projection's really favoring him a lot, and that does make me go all right, maybe let's exercise some caution. I'm getting him in 57% of my top 150 lineups, but for you guys out there, getting 25% Daniels, 30% Daniels, I think that's enough. And as I mentioned, I do think he's your big winner from the Hawks guys not being available anymore, and guys like LeVert and Yang coming in and just not being really crazy producers. They're fine, but they're not doing a ton out there. Zach Collins, 36% for the field. I'm at 20. Okongwu, another guy in the Hawks. We had Capella having an outlier day. I think that was last time out for Atlanta. If that happens, Okongwu will get less minutes, but he looks okay here. 16% of the ownership for the field. I'm getting a 27. No, you hate FanDuel, but is Woman playable at 3,500? Thanks. FanDuel maybe a little bit more so, I guess, but it's still the same thing as DraftKings. You're paying the minimum, but you're probably not getting more than 20 minutes. So if he makes the lineup work well, then great. But he's not a great play. He's, to me, a 10% play, I think is more than enough. We're going to go game by game here. So before we do that, guys, one quick ask. Please do subscribe down below, hit the like button, leave a comment. We are about 50 subs away from 1,000. It would be great to hit that by the end of the week. Obviously, whatever. It fucking takes how long it takes. But right now, YouTube is really fucking killing me with how they're limiting impressions a little bit because these videos aren't evergreen. I do them 4 p.m. every day, and then they kind of die when the NBA changes right before our feed, as it always does. But your support does matter a lot here, trying to get the channel to a respectable place. So please subscribe down below, hit the like button, leave a comment, and check out our sponsor, Sue Underdog, for at least the next few days. Promo code Splash. It'll still keep working, but my deal's coming up with Underdog, and I'm hoping they come to the table to finish this off in the next few days. Promo code Splash at Underdog, $1,000 in bonus cash. link down below. Unabated, of course, our presenting sponsor, 20% off. A link down below for them as well. Get better betting data and some NBA DFS projections as well. You can get mine for $50, or you get much better ones for a little bit more than Unabated. So check it out for yourself if you want to do that. And of course, Stokastic, 15% off all the links and tools and whatever, everything that they have for you is linked down below in the description. That's probably the better way to say that. So check it out. Stokastic, we're going to see some of their data here, but of course it does update for you out there. All right. Toronto, and we're going game by game now. Toronto, 111.5 implied points. Going to try to make good time on this. Indiana, 122 implied points. Nothing I love here. My usual kind of lean towards RJ Barrett, who's been pretty good in the projections overall. Barrett and Quickly have been your big winners overall for Toronto lately, seemingly producing better at the expense of Scotty Barnes. Certain point that does level out, though, as we talked about the last time these guys were on the slate. So to me, I think Barrett is still my preferred play. Salary and upside, the usage for him is held. He's now your highest usage guy on the team at 29%. Actually, he's pulled ahead of Scotty Barnes, which is kind of interesting to note. But Barrett, to me, I think is your play here. Everybody else I'm okay with, but not really a must-have. Not a bad total Indiana side. Toronto keeps it competitive. Maybe some outliers happen here, but you're giving up a lot of flexibility on the first game of the slate. Granted, you do have, I think, 4 games going at 7 o'clock, so what doesn't really matter that much. For Indiana on their side, obviously the Halliburton Q tag is one we'll know before the game starts because it's the first game on the slate. That said, 10% of the field on Halliburton. I am not there if he plays. If he is out, Nembhard will look better. Mathurin will look a little bit better, get a few more minutes. McConnell should get a few more minutes and look a little bit better, but he's also a Q tag. If McConnell and McConnell and Halliburton were out, Nembhard probably gets you to mid-30s minutes. Then Shepard then gets a few more. Mathurin gets a few more. But you need to know the injuries here, so we'll save some time talking about it too much. Nesmith's value play, he's fine. He's not really much better than anybody else, I think. But 8% here, shooting guard, small forward, same play he is on pretty much every slate. I love to hear that. Sorry I'm late, but winning off Spags, so I can't be late, and I'm joining Discord. I appreciate that, R. Stanley. Yes, please hit that join button down below. $4.99 gets you in the Discord if you want my data, including what I'm showing you here on screen, all the stuff, a special Google Sheet for you that gets updated throughout the night. You can also join for $25 down below. If you want my projections to use on DraftKings and Underdog, you join the $50 tier, and you get, if you join the Discord, basically it adds you automatically to all of that. So check it out. I know people ask me about my data on the screen, and none of you fuckers, or a few of you fuckers sign up, but more of you fuckers should sign up here if you want to get the cheapest option for projections and get mine, which I update for myself throughout the night. All right, Portland, 118.8 implied points here. Would this line up nicely? There we go. Oh, that's a good lineup. We got Anthony Simons looking chalky here, as is the case for me this entire year. I am low on Anthony Simons. I know my pal Josh Engelman, who I'll be with on Stokastic's Deeper Dive in about a half hour and change. He likes him. Field seemingly likes him, the projection set. The issue for me, I think, is that his rates don't actually go up with DeAndre Ayton off the court. So for my projections and how they work, basically, if other guys benefit more, those guys gain in projection, and a guy like Simons kind of stays where he is. And I think that's the case for Avdia getting a little bit more. Let me see where his rates are. Yeah, Simons without Ayton has played 1,400 minutes, 25.5% usage, 1.01 fantasy points a minute, just nothing special. Meanwhile, Avia's average 1.1, Klingen's average 1.2, Tamani Camara's average 0.9, Shaden Sharp 0.9. Everybody gains a little bit more than Anthony Simons. So I'm not high in him. The field's there a lot. But I'm only getting 2%, so it's a pretty big anti-stand right away. Match versus Washington, though, anybody can get there. You guys know that, hopefully, at this point. Denny Avdia, 41% here. In my top 150, Fields at 31. I have no issue with Avdia. He's going to close the game, got good minutes. Like, there's really no risk to him for the most part. For Denny Avdia, I think he is worth the ownership. Obviously pretty chalky, though, and I would question him having, 50 fantasy point upside, but it's a revenge spot back in Washington for him, so whatever. We just saw Luka Doncic do it, so Denny Avdia can, right? That's how that goes. Tamani Kamara, I'm with the field on him, 11%, and Jeremy Grant, I'm low on here. So high on Avdia, with the field on Kamara, low on Simons, low on Grant. A lot of ownership for Portland today, but again, another good total for him. Portland keeps getting steady, good totals from Vegas at about like 119. It was actually, I think, 119 last game as well. Washington on their side, you're getting no Alex Sarr today. As a result, Rashawn Holmes looks playable to me. He wasn't updating Stokastic data, so he wasn't in the sim enough. I think I'd probably get him 5 to 10% if they did have that updated and everything. Jordan Poole looks okay to me, getting him in 13%, Fields at 8. He's probably your big winner. I didn't update Marcus Smart and Chris Middleton's usage. They haven't been shooting at all on the Wizards. Like, I think Middleton has like a 10% usage rate. Smart has like, I think the same, around that same range, like really low. At a certain point, I'd expect to stabilize. But as we talked about, guys like Elfrid Payton who didn't even play yesterday, sometimes teams bring guys in and they're like, hey, let the young guys do work or whatever. I don't expect that to be the case for Middleton, who's playing for his next team and next deal. But something to note that, like, if he does less well, then Koulibaly's projection's probably a little bit lower than it should be. Jordan Poole's probably a little bit lower than it should be. Keyshawn George, probably a little bit lower than he should be. So just something to keep in mind with it. But yeah, I think Washington, to me, not looking like the best team. Ownership seems fine. Probably because they're pissed at that could be it too. Players act out in different ways for sure. I would think, though, it's more like they're saying, hey, you're the vets. Just try to set these guys up. If the shot's there for you, take it. Because that's when you watch a game, sometimes you see these guys who are on a 10-day deal, like an Elfrid Payton, like they're kind of playing like that. But that's neither here nor there, I guess, really. It's just so far the results have not been there for these guys, and the underlying stuff, like the rates, have not been there for those guys. Boston, we talked about the Q tag for Jaylen Brown. If he is out, you'll look a lot better for Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum. If Porzingis is also out, everybody looks better. Hopefully you guys know the deal by now from watching these shows. Nobody too highly owned right now. Tatum at 5% for me in my 150. Fields right with me. No big stands here, but that would change, I think, if you get Jaylen Brown out. And God forbid, get Brown and Porzingis out. They'll all look a lot better then. Detroit on their side, nothing really here. A little bit of Cade, a little bit of Duren, a little bit of Beasley, 1 to 3% max. That's basically it. Thank you for the super sticker here. I appreciate it, Squeak Diesel. Manly sounding word and squeak is an interesting pairing there, but I appreciate the sentiment. And of course, your support does go a long way here for just one guy trying to keep this going every day. So thank you for that one. Anyway, Detroit, not really a great play here. Playing Boston, we know, doesn't play with a lot of pace, plays good defense, so not really a spot you're looking to attack. But certainly here, if they hang in the game, Detroit on their win streak, something can pop here. It's just projection-wise, nothing really stands out. Duren would probably be the closest. Philadelphia, you have no Joel Embiid. Big surprise, I'm sure. Tyrese Maxey, not looking great. So weird thing with Philadelphia's rates. Basically, you take Embiid and Yabusele off, and Paul George's rates suddenly start to pop more. And it seems, and that's not the case if you take Justin Embiid off. So it seems like the barrier for Paul George's success this year is Kurshawn Yabusele keeping him from doing what he has to do. Because, like, legitimately, Paul George has averaged his best rates overall with those two guys off the court. 608 possessions, so in the safe zone of what we'd say is a good sample size. 29% usage, 27% assist rate, 1.2 fantasy points a minute. It's only on 55% true shooting. He also put out that announcement he's not doing his podcast. I think chasing Paul George here, not a crazy thing to do. Could have given 29% of my lineups as well. Fields at 10%. Kelly Oubre's at 13 for me, 12% for the field. Not really a big stand there. New York, Karl-Anthony Towns being out would open up Precious Achiuwa more. Would also just make Jalen Brunson look better, Hart look better. Everybody would look better if Towns were out. If Towns is in, I think he's a compelling tournament player for what we talked about. People are going to be paying down a lot at center today on DraftKings, so keep that in mind. Let's see. I think that it's a good total here for New York. I think the matchup is good. There could be something that's an outlier here, but nobody's going to be that well played. So I think Brunson would look a lot better if Towns were out, but he's still playable at 8,900. Josh Hart, I think, is playable as it is, getting a little bit more than the field of him. Towns would be my preferred play, but I think the Knicks overall, a team that you can get to and try to capture some upside. Atlanta here. Just line up the right way. I just want it to be like Atlanta's like as high as it can be. You can still see the whole line, and it just never lines up the right way in Google Sheets. Anyway, for Atlanta here, we got not a great total, 113.8 implied points. Dyson Daniels, my big stand here, though. He did just, have a pretty good game, this exact same matchup. I think had 8 steals in that game as well. That's what it took him to get there. So for Dyson Daniels, it's a lot of ownership that I'm getting right now, 57% in my top 150. But he's your big winner from the guys that are no longer on the Hawks. So I'll keep riding it a little bit. I think 57% might be a bit much. I might be closer to 40% when all is said and done. Onyeka Okongwu, getting him at almost 30% of my lineups. The field's at 16. He looks good to me. George Niang, I prefer to Karis LeVert. I think he's been a better winner overall in terms of getting slightly more usage and all that, whereas LeVert's getting less in their new team. But Atlanta, no priorities here besides Daniels coming up a good amount. And Okongwu, I think, borderline a priority, but he's one of those pivot centers. I think if you're not going to play your Zach Collins or Day'Ron Sharpe, maybe you go to an Okongwu. Miami, Bam Adebayo being out, as we talked about, would help Kello Ware, would also clear minutes for Kyle Anderson in a more meaningful way. You actually might get a Kyle Anderson start if you get Bam Adebayo out. As it is right now, though, Hero looking good. About 1/5 of my lineups here getting him a little bit above the field. Same thing for Wiggins here, closer to 23% for me. Fields at 19. Kyle Anderson, I'm getting a lot of 64% of my lineups, compared to 25% for the field. As I talked about, Anderson closed last game over Khalil Ware. If he doesn't close, Khalil Ware probably got a few more minutes out of it. So minutes without Anderson, consider a boost for Ware. But the minutes aren't risk for Ware. So they like Anderson. I think he does an elevated version of what Nikola Jovic does. He doesn't fuck up out there. It's really the main thing. And he'll play decent defense. He'll get a few stats, a few rebounds, assists, maybe a few floaters along the way. So Kyle Anderson, I think, is your value play that comes with some risk today, but I would say less risk than Vince Williams did yesterday, which we talked about at a good amount of length, so I don't feel bad about that one. Damian Bow outscored him by a good amount. This would be the one victory lap I could have from yesterday because I gave away all my money. Besides that, Oklahoma City here. Huge spread against Brooklyn on the road. 17-point favorites on the road is embarrassing. Nobody looks good, though. It's a pace-down spot. Brooklyn's defense is actually not that bad. So Thunder here, I don't see the reason to play these guys unless you play a lot of Brooklyn for some reason and want to run it back with an SGA of Jalen Williams. But yeah, I don't know. Hartenstein at 6,600. Maybe you could squint your eyes and try to get there. Holmer getting some blocks, hitting that upside. I don't know. It's hard to see anything there. Daniels only has 10 real life points, still had 40 DK points. Crazy. Well, that's the thing is like he could have shot better and he could have put up like 60, almost 70 in that spot. So I think that's it. Sucks the one time. I make perfect sense schedule-wise to cut the 2 late games from the slate. Both DK and FanDuel don't do it. That's a good point. Yeah, it's a weird one. But, I mean, they're all still before 10 o'clock, right? I think the last game today starts at 9:30. So I think that's like the threshold is like, does the game start at 10 East Coast time? And if it does, they don't want to play it. And if not, then they don't. I think it's, at least that would be my observation without having done any real research on it. Brooklyn on their side, Cam Johnson doesn't feel playable to me today. Really nothing that supports giving him enough of a boost to want to play him. Daron Sharp is your chalk here. Watford as well. So there are some small sample size things with Watford where if you take off like all the Nets who aren't playing today, Watford's produced at a 1.3 fantasy point per minute pace. I think that includes the game as well where he went nuts. He's also really been putting up a lot of usage lately, been like 25 to 30% usage in every stint he's on the court. So Watford, I would watch out for. Don't fade Watford no matter what. I don't think you need to go crazy on him, but I would try to target 20 to 25% ownership for Watford no matter what, because he's putting up some weird stats. And if you were like, it all connects in a spot here where the Thunder are going to kick their ass, Watford could have an outlier day at 4,700 with power forward center eligibility. I mean, he's also a pivot point to Sharp a little bit here. Sharp at 4,200, though, is your play you want. He's been a great producer on the year with 1.17 fantasy points a minute, accounting for the matchup and who's available for Brooklyn and have him at 1.3 today. So Daron Sharp, to me, I think is a good play here no matter what. And as I mentioned before, I'd play him in every lineup over playing him in none, I think. But that's that. PJ Washington, good score last night. Yeah, I mean, I think that's sometimes the game for you. Like, I think one thing I've noticed with my data in particular is like, I always feel pretty good about predicting usage. Like I get my guys getting shots. The toughest part is when the guys get the shots, they miss the shots, but it's always the nature of DFS. Like I think if you get guys and they have good minutes, they are producing pretty well, but they go 6 for 18, like Harden the other fucking day where he shot 5 for 25 or some shit. That's awful, but you still kind of got the play right. So you get your Sclancy bucks no matter what on that one. We're going to get to Unabated's best bets in a moment here. I'll try to make up some time. Clippers, 118.5 implied points. Getting less Kawhi Leonard here, getting more James Harden. You can make the case I should probably knock Harden's rates down a little bit more, but he's just been a beast without Norman Powell. I have him at a 1.5 fantasy point per minute pace. Great matchup for Chicago. He can get a triple-double here. He also just should fucking absolutely shoot better than he shot last time out. So Harden here, I'm going back to him. I have 38%. The field's at 15. With the field on Zubac, basically a little bit low on Kawhi. I think if you're going to get leverage against Kawhi, you go to Harden. So I feel pretty well with how this lines up. Still getting more than enough Kawhi, getting more Harden. I would say, though, in the solver optimizer I ran before the show, I was getting Harden in every lineup. I don't want that. I think that's a little bit much. Chicago, 110 implied points on their side. No Vucevic. Obviously, Zach LaVine gone. Dosunmu questionable. If he were out, he'd open up more opportunity for Lonzo Ball. Josh Giddey for sure would increase a good amount. Getting Giddey 3x the field now. He went nuts the other day. I touted him. I would go back to him in a moment if Dosunmu weren't available. Honestly, still want to play him above the field no matter what. Lonzo Ball getting a lot of, about a quarter of my lineups have him. Fields at 20%. That's a lot of Lonzo. But he could be fine here. Got hurt, I think that was last game, and left. Which probably opened up more opportunity for Giddey as well. So Lonzo being in, a lot of ownership, to be honest, but not bad projection on him at all. And Zach Collins could have played more minutes last game as well, got into foul trouble in the first half. I think he probably would have played another 6 to 8 minutes or so. I forget where it was at last game if he didn't get into foul trouble. He's a good player here playing the Clippers, though. He's going to be a little bit tough against Zubac, but he can be rugged, get some shots up, can knock down some threes theoretically as well. He's been about a 1 fantasy point minute producer on the year, and he's really the only center they have now with Jalen Smith and Vucevic out. So Zach Collins, good value here. I would favor Sharp, but I think you could go the other way on that too. Fucking Gidler guy's been hot. He is, and that's not just people are saying in the yearbooks out there. He was great in that game the other day. If they hadn't blown him out, he would have put up even more fantasy points. He was out like 50 at halftime. It was insane. But yeah, he looked good there. Even knocked down a couple threes, I think. So Giddey, you get to Sumu out, I'd feel a lot better about Giddey, but at 5% owned, I think you want to get a little bit of him no matter what. We got Sacramento here, 123 implied points. No big stands. Around 10% for all these guys, and I'm kind of with it. A little bit low on Levine here. Gave him the rates he's had in Sacramento so far. He's been shooting lights out lately. You could chase it if you want, but 7,800, not really a big reason to go there. Really good total for Sacramento, though, at 123.3 implied points, so I wouldn't begrudge you taking any of these guys here, just given that nice total in a soft matchup versus the Jazz defense is not very good. Jazz on their side, Markkanen's out, Sexton's out. You're getting the other guys back in, though. Nobody looks that good. Clarkson, the field's going to play a good amount. I don't have him as nearly well projected as Stokastic does. I'm 4 fantasy points lower. Kessler, I'm up on a little bit. Keontae George up on a little bit. Sensabaugh with the field on. No big stands there. San Antonio, De'Aaron Fox, I am anti on again here. The rates just aren't going up for him with Wemby off the court, and I think he's currently playing at a lower rate overall situation than he was in Sacramento. He's gotten better results because of some defensive stats. Getting to the foul line a little bit more, I think, is a part of it as well. But Fox, to me, is just not a great play right now. The field's not there anyway, but at 8,800, maybe some tournament logic just to go against me, I guess, and go to Fox. A tough matchup versus Houston, though, so it's not really the spot. You expect the ceiling. He's going to probably have Amin Thompson on him a good amount. That's not going to be fun for him. And the other Spurs as well, nobody looks good either, even with them getting more because of me liking Fox less and giving a little bit of a less of a rate boost to Fox. So nothing really standing out in San Antonio. And Houston, our last team here, thank God we made up some time. Houston, 118.8 implied points here. Şengün is my big stand. He's your big rate winner for not having Tari Eason out there, also minutes winner, but not having Tari Eason out there, not having Van Vliet out there. Amin Thompson's going to be 5% owned. He got ejected yesterday. Maybe he plays angry today, does something here. If he does hit, he probably takes away from Şengün. So maybe if not playing Şengün, boost Amin Thompson kind of thing might be in order there. But I think that Şengün's my preferred play here, getting him 2x the field. Jalen Green a little bit lower than the field. Amin Thompson at 5% stands out. The projection is not going to hit for you, but that's the days where Amin Thompson can go wild. And 2, going against a high-usage player. We talked about that with Dyson Daniels the other day, where he's going against high-usage wings. Amin Thompson going against high-usage, probably De'Aaron Fox. Maybe you see some Chris Paul abuses the old man a little bit. Case we made for Amin Thompson, even though the projection's not good. But that's how it's looking right now for all my data. Of course, again, if you want that yourself, join the Squirt Squad tier down below. Of course, you get a Discord for $5, or you get all my data here that you're seeing on the screen for $25. Before we talk more about betting here, let's learn about Unabated's conditional NBA projections. You're going to see on the screen. They've been a great partner to me. You can get 20% off at Unabated. You can also learn about their great NBA data right now. There, go flirting with Justin Fan on stream. They do a great job at Unabated every day, getting you great data from some of the sharpest minds in NBA DFS projections. Their conditional projections you can see on the screen, guys who are questionable, they have different projection sets based on it. So you get great results here, whether you are playing guys being in, being guys out, get the EV on both sides of the equation. And of course, you got graphs. Everybody in the chat knows that they love graphs, you love graphs, I love graphs. Not skin graphs, to be clear. I guess I love those. Like, they're important. Like, if you need a skin graft, I don't want everybody to get it. Yeah. Shouldn't have to get one mandatorily. Anyway, Unabated, great tools, great data, great betting. You know the deal. Get ready. Unabated.com/NBA. Link in the description down below if you want to head over there. And of course, if you do sign up, it gives an attribution to this show, which would go a long way to make sure our friends on Unabated are happy with old Spags. These are the results you would have if you bet every bet that they have 30 minutes before tip-off with a 5% or higher sim ROI that I'm going to show you in a moment here, you'd be up $40,000 in the entire season. No guarantee you're going to hit that same $40,000 in the back half of the season, but it could be higher. It could be $30,000 relative to $100 units. So really, the only thing stopping you is just putting in the effort in and placing the bets and using the data. So check it out for yourself. Unabated, it's $500 for the rest of the season. Click the link down below. You can see all the various packages, or you could save $30 on a monthly package, 20% on a monthly package. Promo code SPLASH. All right. Hopefully that was a good sales pitch. I felt like that came out okay. Like sometimes I feel like I say it and I can feel my mouth just being mushy as it comes out. But I think that was a good sales pitch. Drums indeed. Play opposite of the host card. Projection erections. I don't even know what half these things are about. Take the $1,000 savings with green base. Okay. There we go. All right, let's sort these out here. Just trying to scroll down. If you are playing along on your desktop, it's one way to make sure that you're pulling in all the unabated bets before you sort. All right, so our best bet right now for points, we got Jabari Walker to 7.5 points, minus 108 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook, get you 18.5% EV. Bettable as well on DraftKings Sportsbook, where it's under 7.5 points at minus 125 odds. So Jabari Walker, your backup center for Portland. Take the under on points today and get some good EV. Drinking a Diet Coke here. Hey, cheers. Cheers to our non-alcoholic friends out there. Not that I'm against alcohol. I'm just not drinking right now. I feel like I'm no drinking vibes in the air. Once football's gone, like beer just the beer's not as sweet when football's gone. We got Bub Carrington. Bub Carrington over 7.5 points here. Minus 115 odds on DraftKings, on FanDuel Sportsbook. Gets you 15.6% EV. Actually, same thing on DraftKings as well. Bettable on PrizePicks and Underdog. So Bub Carrington over 7.5 points. You can play it on your pick'em sites or on your sports books. Malik Beasley, 13.7% EV for him, over 13.5 points on FanDuel Sportsbook, minus 106 odds. You can bet it on Underdog as well, the higher on 13.5, and that's probably it. Underdog and FanDuel for Malik Beasley over 13.5 points. Click Capella over 6.5 points, minus 120 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook. It's you 13.4% EV, and you can bet it on FanDuel as well, where it's 9.4%. Cade Cunningham under 27.5 points, looking good on your pick'em sites, PrizePicks and Underdog. It's good to go with 11.4% EV. You can bet it as well on DraftKings and FanDuel. Most beneficial on DraftKings, but looking good for 26.5 points as well on FanDuel. For Cade Cunningham, the unders today on points. Tobias Harris over 13.5 points, minus 115 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook, gets you 11.2% EV or 11.3%. Also good to go on FanDuel, where it's a little bit less beneficial odds, but still 10% EV for Tobias Harris over 13.5. Playable on PrizePicks as well at over 14, but you're losing EV a little bit by there. Keon Johnson here under 11.5 points, good on DraftKings, good on only DraftKings at plus 100 odds. And Shaden Sharp over 13.5 points, plus 100 odds on DraftKings, get you 10.3% EV. Rebounds coming up next. Let's sim it again. NFL and college football is drinking 3 days a week. I mean, look, I don't really judge people. I think it's all personal. Like, there are people on Twitter who you'll go on and be like, oh man, like you drink a couple drinks every couple days. You're an alcoholic if you need it and you enjoy it. It's like, just fucking no. Like, if you fucking wake up and you're not swimming in your head every day, I think you're mostly okay. But yeah, 3 times a week, that's not that deep. But like, if you're trying to save some calories, whatever, liquid calories, obviously always an easy way to do that. And frankly, too, like for me, like I smoke weed. Like I don't need to. How many things do I need in my body, really? Let's drink for fun instead of just drinking because you're bored at home and it's fucking cold and you're like a bear on the East Coast hibernating. For rebounds bets, separate tangent here. We got Dylan Brooks. We got under 4 rebounds, minus 118 odds. The usual standard here on PrizePicks gets you 15.3% EV. You probably don't want him anywhere else. So Dylan Brooks under 4 rebounds on PrizePicks if you can get it. Keldon Johnson, 13.1% EV, looking good on PrizePicks, under 4.5 rebounds. Nowhere else, but Keldon Johnson on PrizePicks, under 4.5 rebounds, looking good. Jalen Green, under 4.5 rebounds, 10.9% EV on your pick'em sites, PrizePicks and Underdog, and still bettable on DraftKings and FanDuel for Jalen Green, under 4.5 rebounds. Jonas Valanciunas, under 5.5 rebounds, good to go on PrizePicks, but nowhere else. Devin Vassell under 3.5 rebounds, good to go on PrizePicks and nowhere else. Amin Thompson under 9.5 rebounds, good to go on PrizePicks, and you could bet it on DraftKings as well. We have under 9.5 on there. And Zach LaVine under 3.5 rebounds, plus 110 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook, gets you 8.6% EV. And that's all of them. That's all of them right now. All right. Assists coming up next. I assume we're talking about drinking here. But not a sentence I ever want a man to tell me, ideally. Covering alcoholic here, bipolar and alcohol produce some insane results. Oh, that's tough to hear. But hey, look, as long as you figure it out and get it right. My dad is bipolar too. So, I'm always sympathetic to the mental illness struggles. Made for a traumatic 10th grade year for me, but, you learn about it. That's part of why, too, important to destigmatize those things. Both the alcoholism and the bipolar part. Everything that's affecting Tango Hotel, we need to destigmatize the team. Let's look at our assist bets here. I always mix in the worst banter between these bets. But I appreciate it. Sharing circle here. Safe space. Men should talk too. I think we know that. Onyeka Okongwu, 21.9% EV for him, over 2.5 assists. Minus 118 odds on FanDuel Sportsbook. Also bettable on DraftKings for Okongwu, over 2.5 assists. Vika Zubac, over 1.5 assists, looking good on PrizePicks. Not available anywhere else. Tim Hardaway Jr., over 1.5 assists, gets you 13.8% EV at the plus 100 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook. Amin Thompson, under 5.5 assists, good on your pick'em sites and on DraftKings and FanDuel, actually good everywhere. So Amin Thompson, under 5.5 assists, playable everywhere. So a little bit of a soft fade in Amin Thompson, at least assist-wise. Still worth a shot in DFS, though. Cam Johnson, under 2.5 assists, looking good on PrizePicks and Underdog, and still bettable on DraftKings and FanDuel, where it's minus 125 odds and minus 120 on FanDuel. So Cameron Johnson, under 2.5 assists, play him on your pick'em sites or your regular old sports books. Jalen Duren, over 2.5 assists, minus 130 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook, gets you 12.8% EV. And Isaiah Collier, and that's on DraftKings. Isaiah Collier here, our last bet, good on your pick'em sites, under 8.5 assists. DraftKings also playable and a little bit less good on FanDuel, but still playable. And PRAs, last but not least, is don't drink and drive. That is true. Drinking problem is a drinking solution. We're really just mixing metaphors all over the place. I don't have a good drinking gif, unfortunately. Actually, you know what? I have a good drinking video.
This is the adult tour, which means you can drink if you want, and we can say whatever the hell we want.
There we go. It's been a while since I played that one. I really wanted to, at one point, have like a bunch of videos at my disposal here to play out, but then there's already fucking not enough time to talk about fucking a 9-game slate with 18 different teams. One day I'll have a producer who'll help me out. That's the dream. Tosaneb Woman here. We got 25.3% EV on your pick'em sites. Actually just on PrizePicks, still playable in Underdog though, where he's under 15.5. At Woman, unders on PRA is looking good. We got SGA under 40.5 PRAs, 22% EV. Actually, no, it's 12% EV. Sorry, I should learn how to read numbers. So I'm going to do a number-based show. Under 40.5 PRAs on your pick'em sites and bettable on DraftKings and FanDuel as well. For SGAs, under on PRAs, look, they're probably going to blow them out. That's going to be the case. Keon Johnson under 18.5 PRAs, 12.2% EV on DraftKings is the best. Still good on PrizePicks and Underdog, though. We're getting 11% EV for under 18.5 PRAs. Jeremy Sohan, 10.7% EV for him, under 18.5 PRAs on FanDuel, and still bettable on PrizePicks and DraftKings as well, where the line is a little bit less beneficial. Cade Cunningham, under 41.5 PRAs, minus 105 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook, gets you 10.4% EV, and looking good on FanDuel as well, or playable on FanDuel. Probably wouldn't take it anywhere else. We got Amin Thompson, under 31.5 PRAs, minus 115 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook, gets you 10% EV. Playable on PrizePicks and Underdog as well, and you can take it on FanDuel. So Amin Thompson, under on PRAs, under 31.5, good wherever you can get it. And last but not least, Aaron Wiggins, under 16.5 PRAs, gets minus 120 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook to get there. Everywhere else, not so good. That's it. Obviously, a lot more bets on Unabated itself, and of course, conditional projections. Got a lot of Q-tag teams here, so want more data? You want to see these other players? You want to prepare for guys being in, guys being out? Let's say you bet Bam out of bio lines. If they look plus EV, you mark him in the projection set as in. Take him out, see what the EV would be for guys like Tyler Hero, and then act on those bets pretty fast. It's one way to kind of use the data here, but you should use the data. Check it out. Unabated is a great tool, and you get 20% off with a link in the description down below. And promo code SPLASH too, but just click the link and it'll do what it has to do. Let's do some DFS sims now. Final part of our journey. Let's see. Did they update the data? 4:45 update. All right. So Timed it out well. Stokastic's up next, guys. 5,000 lineups we're going to build out. We're going to have them compete 10,000 times. And of course, you can do that yourself at Stokastic. They have a deal going on right now as well. If you click the link in the description for Stokastic, it'll take you over there and you'll see a pop-up come up about their welcome back deal, where it's like $1 for the next, I guess, 2 days. You'll have to pay full freight on Friday. If you want to check it out for a couple days, $1, and that does still credit me as an affiliate. Stokastic, link in the description down below. Or if you just want to get something else, use promo code SPLASH. But check it out, link in the description. And of course, all the other whoring we have to do in between. Subscribe, please. We're so close to 1,000 subs. And please subscribe. Please, I'm here doing the work Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. every day. Some days don't work out that well. Frankly, yesterday I got shit right on stream. My lineups did not show the results. Some days I finished top 5 in tournaments and feel pretty good about things. But I'm just here gambling like you guys every day. And I do it, as intelligently as I can, using the best tools and data that I possibly can. It's always a promise here on Splash Play. So please subscribe down below. Hit the like button, leave a comment. It does go a long way. Let's see what we get on Stokastic. It's the usual 33% to first today. So let's run a contest sim here. Checking some chats. Yes, like and sub, you fuckers. Thank you for that. Got a couple OKs here. YouTube emoji? is that an emoji that I have? Oh, shocked Pikachu, of course. That's what we really want. I wish I could see I wish that StreamYard rather showed me the logos and the GIFs on chat. I hate that it just shows me the text version of this. It's like I'm fucking have to use my imagination. Just show me Pikachu. I'll show you Pikachu. I got Pikachu here. There he is. Yeah, he can't believe it. Can't believe it. Daron Sharp. Pika, Daron Sharp. Oh. That's a little more Elmo. You get the point. This is what we have to do while we wait for the sim to run. I guess I could sit here and drink Diet Coke in silence if we want to. I'm like the hunky construction worker in the old commercials. Oh, look at this guy drinking his Diet Coke. It's also how I eat pussy. Anyway, hit that like button, subscribe, guys. Sorry. Top 150 lineups here. Let's highlight the top ROI lineup right now, according to Stokastic. Again, fresh updated data, hot off the presses here. We got Trae Young, Anthony Simons, Aaron Nesmith, Pascal Siakam, Andre Drummond, Josh Giddey, Kyle Anderson, Ivica Zubac. So Kyle Anderson making it come in here. Everything else, I don't love the Simons part. I think we know that already. We got Tyrese Maxey at number 2, Dyson Daniels, Andrew Wiggins, not Aaron Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, Daron Sharp, Killian Hayes, who is technically your starting point guard for the Nets, for whatever that's worth, Kawhi Leonard, and Alperen Şengün. That lineup I mind a little bit less. Maxey, though, I do not have very highly ranked today. I think Paul George is technically your winner for having Yabu and Embiid out. Trae Young, Anthony Simons here at number 3, RJ Barrett, Kyle Anderson, Andre Drummond, Josh Giddey makes this one, Kawhi Leonard again, Daron Sharp again. At number 4, you have Trae Young. A lot of Trae Young. More Trae Young than I would have thought for sure. Trae Young, Jordan Clarkson, RJ Barrett, Tosan Ebwoman, Andre Drummond, Josh Giddey, Andrew Wiggins, and Donovan Clingan. Look, all starters, all regular rotation guys besides Ebwoman. Number 5, another Josh Giddey lineup. So Giddey coming up more than I would have thought. Trae Young coming up more than I would have thought. Everything else pretty much in line. This lineup, though, the number 5 ROI, Giddey, Dick, Kyle Anderson, Denny Avdia, Daron Sharp, James Harden, Bam Adebayo, and Onyeka Okongwu. So those are your top 5 ROI lineups according to Stokastic right now. Puppet doesn't come out on Splash Play too much. He's next to me. He's ready to go for tomorrow when I do the show with Eric. But I don't. The puppeteering. I would love that if you guys were to tell me more people would watch the stream if I just did a puppet the entire time. I'd consider it, but I don't think that would actually be the case. That's the trade-off. And I gotta say, you gotta keep bits fresh. You gotta make people want them. Hopefully. Andre Drummond, we got 26% ROI for him, so he's going to likely be your starting center for Philadelphia. As we talked about a lot of times throughout the year, at least earlier in the year, Andre Drummond, not the same Andre Drummond right now on Philadelphia where the usage isn't there. They're not giving him shots at the rim. He doesn't post up quite as much and all that. He still could get there in a given day, but a lot of Andre Drummond here. I think he's okay, but I'm surprised to see him be this high. Gets probably some leverage against Daron Sharp too. He probably does hit in a few lineups, but maybe that's it. Hit in terms of winning a tournament in the sim. Kyle Anderson, a 14% ROI for him. So all positive ROIs up top too, which is interesting to note. A lot of days we do have negative ROI, so it does feel like there is Stokastic believes, according to the DARE data, that there is a palpable edge on the slate. But Kyle Anderson, number 2 with a 14% ROI. Tosan Ebwoman, number 3 to 10% ROI. He's the minimum salary at $3K, so keep that in mind if you just need to get one guy in. Feels like more of a cash game play to me, to be totally honest, but you can hit enough at a tournament, I suppose, and he does try to get shots up. Poorly sometimes, but he does try to get shots up. Josh Giddey, 8% ROI for him at number 4. Grady Dick, we're getting a little bit Dick in always. 4% ROI for Grady Dick at number 5. Tyrese Maxey at number 6. I prefer Paul George, but we talked about that already. Nalperen Şengün rounding it out here at number 7. 2.4% ROI for him. Top exposed players, according to Stokastic, you're getting 81% Kyle Anderson, 57% leverage on the field for guys going to be played by about a quarter of the field today. So they love Kyle Anderson. As I mentioned, if you're not playing Kyle Anderson, probably means that Khalil Ware had a better shot of getting there too. Basically for Kyle Anderson, though, 3,400, good per minute guy, good fantasy point per minute guy. Like he's your value play of the day. I think to feel pretty strongly about. Nalperen Şengün, 45% exposure here in Stokastic's top 150 lineups. The field's at 17%. So I love Şengün. Stokastic loves Şengün. 27% leverage on him. Kawhi Leonard getting in 41% of lineups. The field's at 30%. So about 12% leverage on Kawhi Leonard here. So a pretty big stand in favor of him. Day'Ron Sharpe, negative leverage on him. They're actually fading Day'Ron Sharpe. A little bit surprised to see that. 52% ownership for the field. Stokastic is still at 40, so good amount of lineups, but he's not making all of them, as opposed to Kyle Anderson, who absolutely is. And, oops, I didn't mean to do that. And I'll just keep sorting it, and eventually we'll get there. Zach Collins, 33% ownership, so a little bit of negative leverage on him as well. All right, so you're getting a lot of Day'Ron and Collins, but you're not going crazy on those guys. So if you want to tail what Stokastic's giving you data-wise, that would be the answer to the test there. Denny Avdia, 28% exposure for him, a little bit lower than the field's 30. And Trae Young, you're getting 8% positive leverage on. So they like Trae Young. Let's listen to Tyler, listen to Sotex, men who know, men who've paid me money on one of my channels at the very least. Please, they're men of taste. You can trust them there. Please join down below with the like button, subscribe. We're so close to 1,000. We're so close. I don't want to go full telethon mode, guys, but for the love of God. You got Kyle Anderson, your highest leverage guy in Stokastic's top 150 lineups. 57% positive leverage on Kyle Anderson. Nalperen Şengün, 27%. Andre Drummond, 17%. Josh Giddey, 17% as well. He loves that. Tosan Ebwoma, it's too easy. It's too easy. Tosan Ebwoma, 12% leverage for him. Kawhi Leonard, 12% leverage for him. RJ Barrett, Stokastic with me on this one. 2x the field and RJ Barrett, 9% leverage. And we got, oh, thank you, Tyler. Love the taste of Spags. That's my new wine I'm selling. Taste of Spags. It's just my jizz, then converted into wine. We got Trendon Watford. It's a lot of jizz to have to make. You don't want to have to make that much jizz. Trendon Watford, negative 15% leverage. As I mentioned, I do think Watford is worth exposure. Stokastic disagrees vehemently with me here, getting only 5% of old Trendon Watford. Day'Ron Sharpe, negative 12% leverage that we talked about already. We got Zach LaVine, negative 11% leverage for him. DeMar DeRozan, negative 7%. Zach Collins, negative 6%, but you're still getting him in about 30 or lineups. Jordan Clarkson, negative 6%. I'm fine with that. And Malik Monk, negative 5%. Those are your negative leverage plays in Stokastic's top 150. Of course, I'm going to head over to Stokastic right now. But before I do, guys, I'll give you my splash plays of the day. And before I do that part, it's a lot of befores. Please make sure to subscribe down below with the like button. Again, just one dude here showing you my work here every day. You could cheat off my answers if you want, especially if you're paying for the data down below. But check it out. Subscribe at the like button. Does go a long way for me here. Of course, Underdog, $1,000 in bonus cash. Link in the description. Unabated, 20% off. Link in the description, even if you want to pay for the more expensive packages. It does support the show, so please click that link down below for Unabated and get better at betting. And Stokastic, you want to run the sim I had, you want to look at their data, you do that for yourself with Stokastic. 15% off, promo code SPLASH. My splash plays for the day, I think it is still for me, Kyle Anderson, Day'Ron Sharpe, to a lesser extent, Zach Collins. I think those are my 3 value guys feel good about. I think in terms of the middle tier guys, Dyson Daniels looks good to me. I think that's Okongwu. I'm still going to be playing. Şengün, absolutely a stand for me. Going through here, Avdia, going to be chalky for the field. James Harden as a pay-up option, I think looks good. Towns, if he plays and you don't do the value, guys, that's probably my player pool or a large part of it, guys. So I hope that helps out for this one. And again, gamble responsibly, guys. That's you always should do in NBA DFS. It can really, the swings will get you. Even though it is always money time here. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at SplashPlayNBA. Come check me out in Stokastic in 5 minutes on the deeper dive. My pal Josh Engelman. Appreciate you guys being here and hanging out. Thanks for hanging. Make sure to hit that like button before you go. And good luck tonight, guys. I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. And I just said good luck, but I'll say it again. Good luck. Bye-bye.